Did you have the developer?
Yeah, the developer PDF. I linked it.
It is good because we are here live for Depths of Gaming episode 68. That is Jahith.
And that's Necro. And we come to you dead from beyond the grave and depths of the oceans of gaming.
Yes. That is indeed something that is now happening. Moving on to our quick old depth charges of news.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious.
Season passes for an old indie game.
What do you mean? It's coming out next month.
Yeah, but as far as indie games go, it was released, quote unquote, like a long time ago.
That makes... Jahith, you don't count a game as released when they put the alpha build up. By that logic, World of Warcraft is out in like 2005.
I count them as released when they ask me to pay money for it. It's still in development, but I still, since I bought it, I count it as released.
Well, either way, We Happy Few is being released next month, and because you haven't bought it, you son of a bitch.
Well, let's say that I'm the average gamer that could have bought it the first day it was really.
Because it was put on early access
it was first
years
put out
ago.
For selling. Yeah,
it was on early access, and it's getting released next month.
It's entering its gold phase.
Pretty much. Because that is a very important distinction to make with We Happy Few, because by no means have I ever actually played the whole fucking game, because they locked the story behind some wall where you can't experience it.
Until it's released.
Until it's actually out. And that's kind of smart on their part, because it kept people interested. Because people
so you were basically playing the demo version.
Yeah, you basically have a really cool demo.
Yes. And then they went AAA.
And things have changed, you see, because they've announced a few things for We Happy Few, including a DLC package. They've announced that there's going to be a season pass that'll have 3 missions. Or, I mean, I don't think they're singular missions. They might be like plot lines more than actual missions.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them seem to have to do with characters that we kind of know through the development process. One is called Lightbearer, and that has to do with a character that's kind of a rock star in Wellington Wells. And we all assumed that he was going to be in the base game, but apparently he's going to be in the DLC instead. That's kind of unfortunate.
Oh, well, you want to hear my theory out? He was in the base game, but they cut it out so that they can put it in DLC.
That's also probably what happened.
Yes.
Roger and James in They Came From Below is the other one that kind of caught my interest, because if memory serves, those are 2 characters that hang around a specific house you have to go to. And I kind of hate that NPC because she only exists to give you quests to progress in the story. And she's kind of the gate of the demo. Once you finish her quest line, she tells you how to move on, and you finish the demo. And I'm hoping that they make her more fun to interact with, because her quest line has always been kind of rocky.
Interesting.
But yes, day one DLC for a $55 game. We should all be very happy that Compulsion Games went from zero to hero.
From 0 to AAA. Which, for some people, might actually be a downward trend.
Yeah, some people look at that negatively.
Yes.
I'm kind of on the more positive side. I'm glad that they established themselves because not a
Yeah,
lot
the
of
least thing
Kickstarters do that.
That happened for them is that with going AAA, they at least have a release date forced upon them. You have to release the game if you have a publisher.
They finally have to release the game. And you know what? It's kind of perfect because they have all this budget to fix all the problems that are inherent in that engine.
Yep.
So, moving on, Steam is apparently considering bringing back flash sales. There was a report, according to Valve News Network, which is a popular channel, and the report cites information from the Valve-backed Steam translation server, which volunteers use to translate Steam text into other languages, and they referred to it. So there's a very decent chance that they might be doing it. And
yes, that's actually quite a lot of fun.
It's been 2 years since we've had flash sales. So we will see. Now, my best part, my favorite part about the PC Gamer article is at the very end. They say it'll be a mistake. Before 2016, it was never worth buying a game during a sale unless it was on a flash sale, because there was a chance they'd receive an extra 20% discount the next day, and you'd feel like a chump if you already paid more. Basically,
you know what?
You'd buy any flash sale you liked, and for other games you'd wait until the last day of the sale. Then you knew there would be no further discounts.
You know what? Fuck them. If you buy a game at a full price, you're supporting the developer fully. If you were ready to pay for it full price and you did it, that means that you should not feel like a chump after seeing that it went on sale. You supported the developer, and that's a good thing.
Well, it supports this stupid concept of I paid money for this game, therefore I control every aspect of it, and it has to be the game I wanted. Bloop de boop de blue. And
yes, if it's not a game you wanted, there's always cheat engine.
And so, yeah, whatever. Sometimes you'll get fucked up because the developer decides to sucker people with a flash sale. Hopefully they'll make it a rule so you're not able to do that, because that is something that would happen. You'd buy a game and then within the next week it would be on sale and you'll go, well, shit, I could have saved $5. And you know, it happens, but
yeah, well, once you release a game on Steam, every single day you're selling it to some people.
Yeah,
there
you
is not
make
a day where you do not make
continual
sales.
revenue. So there's always going to be people.
Yeah.
Also, what about the normal sales that happen a day after you buy it? Like that's the other thing that flash sales never stuck out to me for that reason, because they didn't affect me in that way.
Yeah, it was with me in Men of War Assault Squad 2. I bought it for like full price, and then a couple days later, it was on sale for like 80% off. Did I feel bad? Yeah. But on the other hand, I supported the developer because I liked the game.
Yeah, and then he told his friends, and we all bought a copy.
Yes. This time on sale.
Yeah. So basically it was as if he bought it twice.
Yes. And we all lived happily ever after.
And then we died of dysentery.
Or cancer. Whichever you prefer.
So, a city planner in the UK has come under a lot of fire recently because they threw an image here into a proposition they made for a little garden town property.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently the development company grabbed an image from the City Skylines Reddit for their proposal.
Yes, to be fair though, this is not like an actual plan. It's mostly just...
It's supposed to be.
Well, they're just talking concepts here. Fantasizing about what could be
What
there.
fucking world do you live in? You have to know where the roads are. You have to know where the zones are. You have to know where everything is. You can't just grab a fucking image from the internet. Yes, that is wildly inaccurate compared to this image that they threw in their proposal. What?
Yes,
there's
and
no labeling on this
image. And that's not
image.
the only image that's not supposed to be there. I doubt that there will have monorail capsules too.
Well, absolutely. There's a bunch of shit in there that shouldn't be in there. And waving your hands and going, oh, well, it's not supposed to be a legally binding document from a renowned development company. Yes, it is. You're supposed to actually do your fucking job and make a city plan when you propose this kind of shit. Fantasy ain't shit. Okay? You can grab whatever image you want off of Reddit and say, let's build it, but it can't be built because it's not supposed to be built. It's the same here. You cannot build this in real life, especially not where this site is supposed to be. There's a severely different square footage. There's the fact there isn't a major river there. There's a lot of problems between this image and the plot.
And they compensate for that with other images.
No, they truly don't. Okay,
they have like one,
this isn't a game where you just add images.
Maps.
You add images until you have a fucking full gamut. You have to actually notate these plans. This image was slipped in without any information.
But this is not a legally binding document. It's a brochure.
It's a proposal for developing
land. It's an advertisement.
That makes no sense.
Yes, it does. Nothing is real on advertisements.
That's
if
great,
you go
except
to a
for
McDonald's,
this is a proposition
you're not going
for building
to get
a
the
town.
burger from the ad.
It's not an advertisement. It's a proposition for building a town. You're supposed to actually make a proposition. You're not supposed to grab shit off the internet and say, let's build this.
It's not even that significant portion of the entire proposal.
It looks like the entire proposal.
Do you have the PDF in front of you?
Why should I? I have the image that clearly is their
you
entire
have one image.
fucking
Open the PDF
proposal.
that I linked to you.
Then why is it in there if it's not representative of the final product, Jaheith?
Because it's an ad.
No, it's not. It's an image that was slipped in a fucking proposal.
It's under the Housing Needs and Planning Context page. They also have a picture of deer on the same page.
That shouldn't be there either. It makes no fucking sense that a professional company threw random images together and went, give us a blank check. That's extremely unprofessional, and I hope they lose a license over this. This is bullshit. Moving on.
I'm sure there's a way they could wiggle out of that with legalese.
When you're saying, let's build this off of shit from Reddit 3 years ago, you deserve to lose your fucking contractor's license. You lose your whole fucking company in that case. That is bullshit.
I'm sure there's something we're missing here.
This is the Police 2 busts down the door and launches 2 days early. This actually happened about 4 days ago. And the story here is that the first This Is the Police actually released a week late because the publisher forgot to press the button. And it's very important. Not the developer, the publisher. They handed the game off to the publisher and they forgot to do a final check. I mean, yeah, it sucks, but at least they got the game out. Where apparently...
At least we know the culprit.
Where apparently never again, because they made sure that the game came out 2 days early. They learned their lesson.
Instead of being too late, now they are too early. Which is also not on time.
No, it is not. They're very terrible at keeping a schedule. So, I think this is great because it helps point out that there are indie developers of all shades. And what I also like about This Is the Police 2 is it continues the story. It's a sequel, but it is by no means more of the same. It plays drastically differently because it has a action RPG layer to it instead of flat RNG deciding whether or not you're successful.
Ooh, interesting.
Because you're out in the mountains. There's only like a handful of officers and a handful of people. Every single confrontation is going to be a little violent. Because these be good old boys who don't believe in no law. I love this because it's proof that despite the terrible things that some indie developers do, like I guess in March some other development group put a game on Steam on like the 15th and they just pulled it because they found out it was propagating viruses.
Ooh.
So there's a lot of crazy shit that's being put on Steam. This is one of the good guys, and I love it.
Yeah, Steam. You can tell what you want.
Oh, by the way,
Steam,
here's the other. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but here's the other reason. Here's the other reason why you have to buy This Is the Police 1 and 2, because John Duke Nukem St. John is the protagonist.
Oh, now that's a selling point. That's definitely a big selling point.
I was wondering why I liked the main character's voice so much. Because he is exactly what you would expect. He is playing an old grizzled police sergeant who is done with it.
I'm done.
In fact, the first game is entirely about retiring. Because the asshole mayor is like, you're getting fired. You have 180 days. And it just gets crazier from there. What I love about the first This Is the Police is that despite being a relatively simple game, it keeps throwing content at you.
Ooh, that's always nice.
There is a lot of voice work in these games. And that's something that really surprised me because I didn't know there was actually so much voice work in that game. Like, they really got John St. John to like open up in this game.
That guy's voice, it's like every syllable has so much sex in it. It's amazing.
There's a reason why in a time of pixelated boobies, that guy sold Duke Nukem.
Yep. It's so grotesque that it's fun.
I mean, think about that statement. We fondly remember a game where you could freeze aliens and kick them, where you saved naked girls, where you did all that. But the one thing we remember is balls of steel. We remember John St. John because he is amazing in that game. And he's amazing in This Is the Police. I recommend it. Now, the one thing that I hate is people are immediately comparing it to XCOM because it's an action RPG. And I say, fuck you, it's more like Fallout.
Yes.
But that aside,
Fallout 1 or Fallout 3 and on?
Well, it would be Fallout 1 and 2 because those were the ones that were action RPGs. Answers nobody wanted.
I'm now trying to...
This is apparently the episode where I argue with Jahith the whole time.
Well, arguments are fun. Nobody wants to be in agreement constantly. It doesn't...
I don't know. I'm pretty sure we elected a guy who wants just that.
Well, that's just a sign that he is not an adult. Adults know that from conflict grows content.
Knight of Stars asks, why do people hate power gaming so much? I swear we've answered this before.
Maybe.
You hear it so often along with metagaming that players should avoid power gaming. Yet I never understood why. Aren't we supposed to be powerful and competent adventurers? Not the same thing. The reason I usually hear is it steals the spotlight from people who are RP focused and don't have that capable of a character. See where I stand, then maybe that character shouldn't be adventuring. It's an RPG, after all.
A role-playing game. You role-play in this game.
Yeah, I know. I love how his argument is to pick apart the title of the genre, glossing over that more of the title is the thing he's trashing.
Yes.
As in, this is a game where we role play?
Yes.
If a character keeps stealing the spotlight, perhaps maybe that RP-only character isn't a good RP. For example, I have an Arcanist in Pathfinder that has one offensive spell but is miserable charlatan. He doesn't fight too much. In fact, he hasn't killed a single creature, but instead he taunts and intimidates his way out of fights. He's weak, but holds a spotlight. Oh, that's his whole argument. Okay. I thought he had more.
Well, basically, whenever you play have a power character, right? It's no matter what class or archetype it is. Whenever you play such a character, they are always one note. You can min-maxed characters are basically like donuts. Donuts are good, right? They're tasty. They're sweet. They're awesome. But when you have donuts more for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner for 6 months in a row, you're not going to look at donuts like they're something fun. You're going to want to look for something more substantial at one point or another.
Absolutely. And that's the thing with power gaming builds is they're, number one, super easy to make because Reddit is full of people asking for them. and they're also super easy to make because it's typically very obvious in the book what is worth taking.
Yes.
But the thing is, 5th edition was never really designed to require a power gamer to play.
Yes.
It was designed around having a large party of diverse characters.
Yes, because when you fail at some skill, the rest of your team can jump in. That's the point. That's the reason why the spotlight is moving from one character to another. Because as the situation changes, the character that is best suited for that situation also changes. If you're good at everything, then nobody's going to like you. If you constantly say, I win because I'm the best, no one wants to play with you.
Yeah, that's why one of the most notable changes from 3 into 5 is they changed how the ability to play large characters. Now there's just a racial trait that does almost the same thing, but you're not large sized.
Mm-hmm.
And this is because you could really abuse creature size in 3.5 to make this super devastator build that wasn't very fun to experience.
Yes.
Um,
Would you actually enjoy introducing back the requirement of random stat points? You roll the dice, and this is your first stat. You roll the dice again, this is your second stat. Then go pick your race, go pick your class, and see what you can come up with.
Right. And if you're playing, and I don't understand this concept of what makes a weak character. So in his example, he does this really hypocritical thing where he says, "I do it and it's okay, but if you do it, it's wrong." And he blamed.
That's kind of weird. That was a weird example. I guess he was trying to just show off that, hey, my character is weak, but it still has the spotlight. I guess.
Well, sort of. I mean, really what he was saying is, once I played a character that was a detriment to the party, and I tried to pretend like I was funny.
Yeah. That's more like it, yeah.
Because I don't think he has an idea of what a weak character actually is. Like, for instance, he said he only had one offensive spell. What was the spell? And also, why does it only matter if it's an attack spell?
Did you actually have like a can of crab in the fish bin right now? But it's been in there for
I
a while.
don't know. I seriously do not have any idea.
Because arcanists are like wizards, I believe. They're able to grab defense and buff spells. So by no means is that a weak character. Bards, for instance, are able to learn basically any spell they really want if they work hard enough. So it's really hard to play a weak bard. The only thing I can think of is if you have a really bad stat penalty to attacking, and usually you have the means to use a different stat.
Yes. From what I remember, that some characters that use magic use charisma to cast magic, like I believe sorcerers.
Yes.
Yeah. You can also use intelligence to cast magic, and you can use wisdom to cast magic.
Yeah, any of the mental statistics can be used depending on what kind of caster you are. It's class based. And when it comes to strength and dexterity, if you have not a lot of the one, just use the other, because there's typically a weapon you can use.
There's always a way to customize your character around flaws
And
and around strengths.
and when it comes to to archetypes. All of the archetypes now generally make you a powerful character. As you get into the later game and you get more hit points, I don't see this fascination with, oh, your character's weak, because I don't think they know what they actually mean when they say that. Like, I had a person tell me that a character with a -1 to any of their statistics was totally unplayable. And I'm like, what? It doesn't make sense to me. That people are so focused on one or two numbers that they declare an entire character just unplayable if they can't hit with a decent probability in combat. Because deep down, that's all they care about. Probability of hitting. And that's fine if you are playing 4th edition, but we're playing 5th edition. This is a role-playing game.
So what, 4th edition wasn't a role-playing game?
Some people argue it's a tactical board game.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because
I'm sure
because of
people
how
are
many
not
cards
Wizards
it
of the
uses.
Coast. Technically, you can say that about any RPG, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, the reason I point out the cards is because you count your spells and abilities with the cards. So you basically have a hand of a different abilities you can use. That's my thinking on that.
Oh, that's interesting. It's basically because the cards really were just there to help you out along the way.
They just show you your options, yeah, but you essentially do have a hand of abilities you can use at any given time.
And it helps you keep track of what you spent and what you can still use.
Right. Like, I'm not knocking it for having cards, I'm knocking it for the way it uses them.
Yes. I totally agree.
But yeah, that's the end of the all argument episode of Depths of Gaming.
We had a blast. We enjoyed ourselves. I hope you enjoyed enjoyed our little banter as well.
Indeed.